Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, and it is the big one. The fixture that every Spurs fan looks for at the start of the season, the home fixture versus Arsenal, and it is upon us. Of course, these two lads below us smiling like Cheshire cats because Man United have beaten Man City. So if they beat us tomorrow, puts them 8 points clear of City, and I think it's 14 points clear of us. So it's a huge gap opening up. But of course, we are joined by co-host Jack Kanicki. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm keeping well, Dave, but I can see that they're confident here, which doesn't make me, feel too well at the moment. NorthSide's even drinking Conte's second favorite beer. We know Conte's a Moretti man, but he's drinking the Peronis here and right in front of our face, Dave. They're a bit more confident than the last time we had Northside. It's good to see Kenny Ken, though, a good new face for these North London derbies preview, Dave. I'm keeping well.
No, it is. It is. Of course, I cannot wait. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. But we'll start with Kenny Ken. Kenny Ken, it's been a long time, my man, since we've had you on the channel. I think the last time you were here was with your good friend Claude, who has sadly passed away since. But how are you keeping, my man?
I'm all right. I've had a fresh trim because of my, I was a lot more grey.
Match day haircut.
Before the North London derby. But, I think Arsenal need to take a professional approach and don't look into what happened at Old Trafford. Man United have had their own reasons for the match because they're trying to go for the top four. We need to take care of our own business because, as I said before, our record at White Hart Lane is pitiful. Only one win in 16 years. And I think when people are rattling around, celebrating already because Man City lost at Old Trafford, I think, football's a funny old game. There's so much football to play. And yes, it's good that Man United lost, but it means nothing if we don't get anything tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. Look, we derailed your season last season. When we gave you a good hiding at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Hopefully, it is the case tomorrow. Northside, welcome back, brother. How are you keeping?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Fresh off recovering off of COVID. So just in time, well enough just in time for the North London derby. So yeah, man. I'm good though. I'm good. I'm here on the Peroni. Like you guys said. Yeah, I'm chilling. That's good.
Oh, these smiles are absolutely unbearable. They're killing me, absolutely killing me. But look, we're going to hand it over to Jack. Let's get straight into it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. We'll bring up your comments as you go along. That's a part of the deal with tuning in. If you want to support what we're doing, or if you want to put in your talking point for every one of us to discuss, feel free to make it a super chat. It is a great way to help support the channel. But Jack, over to you, my man.
Kenny Ken, I'm going to start with you here. For the first time since Arsene Wenger left town, Arsenal look comfortably superior to Tottenham. Spurs have finished ahead of you, though, in the table for the last 6 seasons. It's something I've grown quite accustomed to and something I don't want to see change. But with Arsenal's strong start, do you feel like the power is starting to shift towards your side again?
I think the thing about it is that in terms of the power shifting, I think it's a lot clearer when Pochettino was at the club, when even though we finished second in Leicester, it was clear to a lot of Arsenal fans that Spurs were heading in a direction that whilst we were going in a different one. So you were very strong in a 16-17 season where it's probably your best Premiership season where you didn't even lose at White Hart Lane, and then the season afterwards, Wembley seasons. You got to the semi-final of the FA Cup and you got to the final of the Champions League. So in that respect, it'd be ludicrous for any Arsenal fan to say Spurs are ahead of us. You can go and do your Tom and Jerry speak and say, oh yeah, but we won the FA Cup. Spurs ain't won a trophy. But you can't have it both ways. I'm sure if we had finished ahead of Spurs and Spurs won the trophies, we'd be saying, well, it's league position. So be consistent. League position counts for a lot. But I think in terms of last season, I think we lost that top four as opposed to Spurs taking it off us. We gave it away to you on a plate. And let's face it, those games in April when we lost against Palace, Brighton and Southampton, let you back in and you gave it back to us. And then after you beat us at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, there's only one team going to get to that top four. It weren't going to be us. So, best of British luck to you. But the fact is that we're in a way, all you can do right now to us, and I'm not going to tempt fate, is that I think teams like Spurs, Man United and Newcastle be the kingmakers and decide whether the title's going to go to the Etihad or whether it's going to go to the Emirates Stadium. Yeah. Because everyone's going to play each other in quick succession. And, you've got to include Newcastle in this because they're a superb side.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, Northside, do you see something like I said, I've grown a little accustomed to, especially for these North London Derby previews. Usually we find ourselves quite confident, finishing ahead of you in the table. But this time around, such a strong start. And also maybe a bit of a second question for you, Northside, because people have seen you before here. Do you finally trust in the process? Is the process, starting to come through to you now?
No, listen, I'll take it game by game. You know what I mean? Game by game. Listen, I'm not completely sold. The season isn't over, but I can give Arteta props where props is due. And I don't mind getting it wrong. But the thing is, we have to see consistency. Arsenal have been consistent this season in the way we play, the mentality. Even when games like Man United or Newcastle games didn't go our way, we still stuck in there and there was a fight. We've been accused of being soft in the last 18, 19 years. And there seems to be a resilience. And whether I rate this manager or not, these players seem to be fighting for this manager. And I'm sure Kenny would agree. These players are fighting for him. Yeah. They're giving their all for him, whether we think he's, the best thing since sliced bread or not. But at the same time, there are still things about this team, this squad, that I'm concerned. And the main thing is the bench, and you can see Gabriel Jesus gets injured. Eddie Nketiah has done okay. But with 10 games to go last season, Eddie Nketiah wasn't enough for us to pick you to top 4. So why would I believe that Eddie Nketiah is good enough to get us to win the Premier League with half the league, half the games of the season still yet to play? Then you look at the Newcastle result, our last result, things weren't going to plan, like me and Kenny saw. We were struggling to break them down. And this manager didn't trust Fabi Vieira, didn't trust Marquinhos. These are players that he brought in, so as much as, it's great getting Mudryk, we still got a lot to do. Last summer, we should have got a lot of midfielders and work on the midfield because our midfield was our Achilles heel. We haven't really done that. We haven't really addressed that. Lokonga doesn't look like he's up to it. Fabi Vieira doesn't look like he's up to it. Marquinhos seems like he's still trying to, learn this league and learn how to play in this league. And the manager's not really trusting them. And those are players that he bought. So, at the end of the day, things are going good. But we need to go all out in the January transfer window and not do what we did last season and allow you guys to pip us. And now Man United that won today, allow them to pip us because I think they're only, a point or two behind Man City. So they're back in the title race. So let's see if Arsenal have actually learned to be proactive instead of reactive. For me, the last 18 years have been reactive and we've fallen short.
Last season, you only had one chasing after you. This time, you have more than a few chasing after you this time in the table. So you see how you handle it. But for you, Dave, I mean, it's not an easy question to answer. But are you seeing kind of the power shifting a little bit, maybe towards the other side of London? It's not a question we like to be answering here, but I mean, we've grown, like I said, quite accustomed to finishing ahead of them in the table, but they've started so strong.
Yeah, St. Tottenham's Day has been put to bed for a long time now, Jack, ever since the Arsene Wenger days. As the power shifted, look, me, I'm delusional as ever, especially North London Derby week. What I will say to Spurs fans out there is we did catch Arsenal last year. I think it was an 8-point or 11-point gap between us last year after an international break, and we did catch them last year. Now, what I will say is Arsenal have improved since then. They found a lot of consistency. They found consistency, I would say, this season. They've only lost one game, I think, if I'm correct, guys, to Man United, I think, is all you've lost all season. And I think a lot of the young players from last year have probably gained that year's experience and they brought it into this season. I think that's where the consistency is coming from. But I still hold out hope we can catch them, Jack. If we talk about Tottenham for a minute, we had a run from February all the way to the end of the season last season. We really picked up form, started smashing teams, and I'm praying that this season can be a bit similar. Look, our season so far has been derailed by injuries. Some would say not proper investment in the transfer window. Yeah. But for me, I do think it's been absolutely derailed by our injuries. We've had Richarlison out. Romero's been out for large parts. Kulu has only started 8 games this season. He's massive for creativity. Bentancur has been in and out of the team through suspension or injuries. So we've had a lot of key players out injured. If we can keep them fit between now and the end of the season, I think St. Tottenham's Day would be put to bed for another year.
Let's hope so, Dave. Let's hope so. But Kenny Ken, I do have a question for you here. With the likes of maybe, you have an outside perspective on these with Antonio Conte, maybe with how well it's going for Arteta, I mean, how would you switch places right now? Would you rather have Antonio Conte, or are you starting to trust the process a bit
Well,
more?
just
With
the thing
Arteta?
is that you got to remember, Arteta hasn't done anything yet. Conte is a multi trophy winner. You know, he hasn't quite won it at Tottenham, but you know, Conte won the league with Chelsea in 2017 in his first season, where he actually recognised the weakness, got them changed their system, and they never looked back. Where he went into the wing backs. You know, you only look what he done at Internazionale as well. He's won trophies. He's a top level manager. Remember, don't forget, Italy were very unlucky in 2016 to lose to Germany in semi-finals, to quarterfinals and penalties in Euro 2016. So this is an elite manager. Mikel Arteta still finding his feet, but what Mikel Arteta has done well so far is that he's learned quickly, and he's finally got the players he needs, and he's identified a way where he's made some harsh decisions in terms of like Tierney's a very harsh one. I mean, that song, Yaddy, the Teeny at the back, Mick Arteta, rubbish and all that nonsense. But he's decided on a way of style of play, and he's jettisoned Tierney and Shinchenko. It kind of makes sense. So he's making some decisions, and if we get Mudryk, I'm afraid he's going to have to make another tough decision because, in terms of like the players that are unselectable, who are selectable at all times or unbenchable, it's only three players who are unbenchable. That's Odegaard, Saka, and Partey, which means Martinelli may be a casualty, so that'd be another tough decision. But, if you ask me a state of play, obviously I'll go for Conte, but that's not slagging off Arteta and not trusting his process. I'm just going by experience, aesthetically. But one thing I will say about Conte, and you have to be truthful, there's no longevity. He look out with Chelsea. Season after he won the league, the players weren't with him, even though we won FA Cup when we all knew he was going to lose his job. No one backed him, not one player. And he fell out with Greg Sky over money. He left Internazionale because of no money. Now you're at a club where I suggest that at Spurs you've got two problems. One's called Daniel, the other's called Levy. So in that respect, Conte has identified a problem where he says there's no creativity in the team. He needs creative players. Well, what is he doing about it? Why isn't he identifying his creative players? Everyone knows that Spurs played their best football when Eriksen was creating chances and Dele Alli was scoring goals from the midfield, where he was getting past Kane and getting past the front three and being effective. Your best season in the Premiership, you had goals from Eriksen, Son, Kane and Ali. It's up to him to do that. So there has to be some self-assessment for him and self-blame. Because, Dave, it's easy to hide behind Levy, but the fact is a lot of Spurs fans are satisfied. There's a solid 50% of people who are not satisfied with the second half shows and are not satisfied with the style of play. And that is prevalent amongst family and friends who I grew up with and know they do not like your style of play. They don't like tight second half or going to the stand. I don't like as exciting as it is. It's becoming a bit of a pain in the neck for some Spurs fans that you're having to be second half Tottenham. So
it definitely has to do with that
there's
tradition.
Pros and cons for both matches. But if you want to do pound for pound, Conte's definitely the better manager. But at the moment we're in a good situation, but it has to be earned, and we'll see in May because nothing's been won yet.
I think where Spurs fans especially come from that is that they're so used to such expansive, positive kind of, football, and then making kind of this transition towards these sort of serial winner type managers has been then kind of a culture change also for, I think, Spurs fans to have to go through as well. And I think you're probably right, where Arteta maybe hasn't won anything yet. And I think Northside probably would agree with that. Dark Sun G, though, a guy that has definitely maybe started off strong, Roberto De Zerbi, he's saying, laugh my ass off, Liverpool again, lost to Brighton 3-0. I love it. Come on, you Spurs. Matoma was absolutely tearing Trent a new one from what I saw, Dark Sun G. And they really do look like a shambles of his squad right now. Liverpool, they're going to be going through a rebuild, or at least some type of crisis. And then Chelsea are also in crisis. It's actually quite glorious for us, and it's making this top 4 race kind of a bit weirder because you're not really seeing the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea kind of neck and neck with you. It's Newcastle, Man United, and Brighton, I guess, and Fulham. It's a very strange one these days, Dark Sun G, my man. But big yourself up. To you, Northside, I mean, what would you take Antonio Conte right now, or would you stick with Arteta?
It's kind of hard to right now to say I'll take Antonio Conte, because I just feel like Antonio Conte is the type of manager that you need to get him what he wants, when he wants it, and he wants ready-made players. And he wants you to spend big money. Arsenal do spend money. Do we buy ready-made players? Not really. This is a youth project. So would he fit our club? And I think he's a wrong fit for your club. I think that's why things aren't really going the way you may have expected. I didn't understand, Tottenham are a team that buy players for the future. You don't buy ready-made players. And I even argue Arsenal rarely buy ready-made players. Okay, we bought Partey and Ozil, but most of the time we buy players and we create them and make them into what they become. Thierry Henry, for example, Patrick Vieira, Dennis Bergkamp, we made them into what they were. We didn't buy them ready as the Bergkamp that we came to know, as an example. We don't do that. With a manager like Conte, he wants players that already know their job. They're at the top of their game. They're in their peak powers, and they're ready to go now. He doesn't need to be teaching them their game. They literally just put them in a system. You know what you need to do. This is your instructions. You go. With Tottenham, it doesn't really make sense. And with Arsenal, I don't think it really makes sense. I do respect Conte more than Arteta because he's achieved more. So I'm not going to be delusional and say that. But at the same time, for what we're doing, for the direction that we're going, would Conte be the right fit for Arsenal? I don't know. I would have taken him at the start. At the start of this project or rebuild, I would have taken Conte. But now that we're down the road, I don't see him fitting into what we've got going on. I mean, it seems to be working. But at Tottenham, the problem is you guys have allowed players that are bums and been bums forever and been rotation players to go into your starting lineup. Dyer's a bum, just like Rob Holding's a bum. It's not that I'm trying to go at Tottenham. Skip, he was a rotation. Now he's a starter. When you look at your defense compared to the defense you had when you got to the Champions League, it is a joke. I only rate Romero, and this is what he's got to work with. Your attack is still potent, your attack is still good, but you got Son. The reason I don't call him world class is because he turns up some games and he doesn't turn up others. When he's on his game, Son is unplayable. But he goes missing too much sometimes. And every season there's a patch where he goes missing. Harry Kane goes without saying. Then you got Hill. He looks all right, but I still think he needs to develop. And then you got Kulusevski. You guys are like Chelsea and Liverpool. You got one man creating for you, and then it makes it easy to nullify you. Mm-hmm. Liverpool got Trent. Once you get Trent out the game, who's going to create for them? Chelsea have got their fullbacks, Chilwell and Reece James. As soon as you nullify them, there's no creativity. Same with Tottenham. Unless Harry Kane makes a miracle, it's easy to nullify you guys. And when I'm looking at this defense, it's actually a joke. You actually had a very good defense under Poch. And you look at this defense, Langley dead, Perisic not good enough, Dyer is not good enough, and Doherty is not good enough.
Have you then been impressed with what Antonio Conte has done with the squad he has, like with the players that he has, like you said, at his disposal, the dross that he basically has? Would you say it's impressive?
I am, but you guys are sitting there saying, oh, Chelsea fell off, Liverpool fell off. When are you not capitalizing on that? And I'm demanding for my club to capitalize. This January, I'm expecting Arsenal to capitalize. And capitalizing is going out there and actually addressing the situation and the positions that we need. Not buying one player and then we still got 3-4 positions that we need strengthening and saying, oh, don't worry, we'll do it in the summer. It's all good other teams falling off. But if you don't capitalize, who cares? Arsenal didn't capitalize the season that Leicester won the league. And what did we win? Nothing. And we've kept doing this for 18, 19 years. So if you guys don't capitalize and actually back Conte the way you should, who cares that Chelsea are falling off, Liverpool falling off, Man United are rebuilding? If you're not capitalizing on it, who really cares? Because you ain't maximizing the fact that there's Tielemans out there that you can get at a cut price, that there's other players like Zaha that you can get out there at a cut price, all these kind of things. And this is what I'm demanding from Arsenal. And Tottenham, I'm not seeing it. And Antonio Conte, from what I saw before the Crystal Palace game, he looks like, well, if you guys are not happy with my work, I'm happy to leave. And I don't blame him. I mean, at the end of the day, you know what he was. I know the fans didn't ask for it, but your ownership asked for it. And if they asked for it, then they know what kind of manager they got. So give him the money. It's the same with Arteta. They backed him when Arteta was 8th. They backed him when he was 5th. And now that he's top of the league, there's no excuse not to get the business done. And if they didn't, and if Arsenal, from my opinion, if they're not going to get the business done now, then why did we get it done in the summer? Because we spunk last January window when you lot picked us top 4. And we said we're going to have a big summer. Big summer. We bought about 3 players when we got 5, 6 other positions need to be refilled. So it's all good people falling off. But if our clubs do not capitalize, what's the point?
Sounds like you're saying then Lego Head hasn't been backed, which is what I was actually going to ask you there. And it seems like you guys haven't taken advantage of those opportunities to maybe, push the squad, a little bit further. We know as Spurs fans, we certainly haven't. But Dave, I mean, what would you kind of say to that? Like, if you looked over the fence right now over at the Arsenal, I mean, would you say that Arteta is being backed more than Conte has been?
Look, it's hard to know, Jack, to be honest with you. Look, I do think Conte was back somewhat in this summer. I think every Spurs fan will agree that it was a bit of a shame the way it ended, that we didn't capitalise on the amount of work that we did do over the summer. We kind of went into the last week or two, no signings in the door. But look, if we're being brutally honest, we've got to take into account that, look, I agree with Northside. Our backline is something that, Jack, I've been on about since, Jose Mourinho, the fact that Dyer, Sanchez, Davies have all come into that back line, forming a back three now under Conte. It's disgraceful. We haven't done enough work in that area. But the reality is, our squad was absolutely ridiculous under Steve Hitchen when he was in charge of bringing in people. We've had a massive job to do to be able to get a lot of them players out. And if you look what Paratici's done, he's got most of the guys out that Steve Hitchen signed in here. But there's more to do. Look, you know me, I wasn't happy with us not bringing in a centre-back this summer. I said to everybody in the summer that it is going to cost us this season. Come January, we'll be all sitting here moaning about that back line. So, look, for me, I think it's hard to put all the blame on Antonio Conte. I know Kenny Ken was saying you need to look at Conte a bit, and same as Northside. But for me, this is a guy that we brought in because he was at the trophy level winning. He was at the trophy level. We weren't. We brought him in here to bring us to that level. But we're trying to get Antonio Conte to change. We're trying to get him to use a core group of players that have failed 2-3 managers since Pochettino. I'd even say failed Pochettino since he started having to rely on some of these guys. And we know this as Spurs fans. A lot of these guys have to be shipped out. They have to be sold on. Hopefully this summer we will see the last of the rotation. However, I do think Arsenal are getting a bit ahead of themselves. I know they're enjoying themselves. They're top of the league right now. But I think wait until you see a bit of an injury crisis at Arsenal. Injuries will happen. I think you will really see the true strength and depth of their squad, if I'm being brutally honest. I think, look, they're going for Mudryk this January. I think he is a good sign. I think he will add a bit of strength and depth in the attacking areas. But I look at that Arsenal backline, outside of Saliba and Gabriel, if they get injured, they're screwed. Because you're relying on someone like Rob Holding to come back in, Ben White to come back in. Now, we absolutely decimated them. Who was it? Rob Holding, I think it was, that got sent off at the end of last season against us. So I think just wait and see for me. I think, Arsenal will I think they will be found out very, very shortly, if I'm being brutally honest. I do think Conte is a better manager than Arteta. Like, let's be real, there's levels to this game. But the reality is Conte hasn't been helped fully by the board. He hasn't been helped by injuries. And that's why we find ourselves in the position we do right now heading into this North London derby, Jack.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Dave. And I feel like at this moment in time when we're sort of struggling to maybe make a decision between Pedro Porro and some other right wing back, with we're talking, less than 45 million. And maybe we're even, thinking about going for a cheaper sort of player. And Arsenal at this time being are going after players like Mudryk for a ton of cash. And I don't know, at this moment in time, it looks like one is maybe more keen on making their position kind of more solidified, let's say, in the table than us at this moment in time for me.
See, this is what winds me up though, Jack. Is Arsenal are trying to capitalize on Liverpool's downfall this season, Chelsea's downfall this season. They're top of the league. They're going into the market and they're trying to get the right signings in to be able to propel them and sustain this title challenge. What are Tottenham doing? We haven't even entered the market yet. We haven't put in a bid. You hear about inquiries for Trossard. Where's the bids? If you're serious and you want to help Tottenham try and capitalize on Arsenal or Liverpool falling apart, Chelsea falling apart. You could have had Pedro Porro in here at the 1st of January. You know the release clause. Go and pay it. And this is the frustration with Spurs fans right now. It's like we need these players in the door. We could have done with Pedro Porro going into tomorrow's game. But that foresight isn't there. We're always looking to leave it late to get the best deal for Tottenham possible. And all we're asking for is sometimes when we need that help, splash that cash when we need it early. Get the players in and help this club progress and push forward. At the end of the day, we're 15 years without a trophy, and I'm fed up with it. You know, most Spurs fans, all we want now is trophies. We're sick of seeing, you know, our rivals celebrate around us having trophy parades. When are we going to have our trophy parade down Tottenham Street? You know, and for me, we've got to act this January, because if we don't, and we don't bring in the right players to back Conte, we will fall further and further behind Arsenal. It's how can we finish above them last season? We've been dominating since you know, Wenger left you know, North London. But now all of a sudden Arsenal have a good window to back Arteta with the players that he wanted in positions. And look at them now. The benefits and the rewards of it is showing from our rivals. You know, and we need to start acting like that. Now, I will say there were reports today that Joe Lewis is looking to sell his shares in Tottenham Hotspur, and he is looking for an exit strategy. So it'll be interesting to see what unfolds there. Hopefully, we will be dominating the Premier League if we get the right owners in.
Maybe hence why Conte's happy to stick around for trophies. That was like the rumor, right? Was that he's sticking around for trophies, which means there could be some longevity, Kenny. There could be some longevity.
But in the short term, though, Jacko, you know, we have to have a good window this window. We have to bring in players. Now, we're talking about not bringing in centre-backs, delaying it until the summer. Why? It's clear and obvious we need centre-backs. You know, Eric Dyer kicked the ball 40 yards backwards, and it's not like it was in gale force winds. It's embarrassing, Jack. You're not going to reach, you know, palming out balls into the middle of his box for strikers who are on their toes ready to tap in. You know, some of these players are in clear decline. Some of these players have never been good enough. And the fact that Liverpool and Chelsea are in a bit of a decline, we should have been in a position, and we should have had the foresight to be able to strengthen that squad so that now we're in a position to capitalise on it. But unfortunately, we're not. We still find ourselves similar to where we were, you know, under Jose, under Nuno, and it's starting to really get to Spurs fans. But what I will say is, tomorrow that's about to change.
What's changed, Kenny, between, you know, we're 11 points behind you in the table. You won last time out in the last North London derby, and you've been able to keep that form. You didn't bottle it then, and you still find yourself top of the table. So what's kind of the difference between this season and last season?
Well, if everyone's playing well, there is a weak link in our team. No one is being carried by any of our players. The partnership, you know, between Gabriel and Saliba has worked a treat. We've Arsenal fans been waiting for those two to be paired up for quite a while since we signed Gabriel, because we already had Saliba by then. So that has worked. Things that have you know, surprised us, that has worked, is Benjamin White, right back, is playing good football. You know, Thomas Partey is our team. Don't listen to any of these Arsenal fans who come to say, oh, Granit Xhaka this and Granit Xhaka is that midfield. Don't get it twisted. The fact is that without Thomas Partey, the kind of decline David is kind of hoping for will materialise. It will materialise. It is essential to everything we do.
Yeah,
everything we do. The reason why Granit Xhaka is able to get in forward positions and penetrate the opposition because of Thomas Partey. The reason why Odegaard is able to get in those little pockets nearer to the front two is because of Partey. The reason why our fullbacks are able to, you know, either invert or overlap is because Thomas Partey makes everything tick. He really is the controller of our team, and that's why we're playing well. Another thing as well is that goals are coming around the team as well. You know, Martinelli scoring goals. You know, not so much Partey, but he's got a couple. Jack is getting the goals score sheet as well, as is Odegaard, and as is Saka. Odegaard and Saka are our top goal scorers at the moment. So everything seems to be clicking to the extent that it's not just the fact that everyone's playing well. We've got the bounce back ability as well. Like, for instance, if we come through difficult situations in football matches, we're able to go that extra gear and take the game away. Liverpool game was telling. Liverpool played really well that game. They got a couple of equalisers, and they looked like they dominate possession. But we had that extra gear to go on and take the match away from them. The same with Leeds. We weren't playing well against Leeds. They smashed us to pieces. But we had that bounce back ability to nick the game from them. And that's what we've been able to do as well. You know, after you lost against Man United, people thought that'd be a capitulation. Not at all. We came back strong. And that is the situation with Arsenal this season, is that we are coming back really strong. We are showing that bit of bounce back ability. But NorthSide is correct. And so is David correct. The fact is, the squad is too thin. Everyone
if you lose a certain player, it all comes undone.
Caution in terms of whether we can win the title or not. Because even though, exactly, you have to look at the fact that I was saying even this season we needed a first striker. It doesn't matter whether Jesus is injured or not, or whether you think Eddie's good enough or not. The fact is that we need a bit of variety. So even with Eddie and Jesus, we needed a striker. Even as well, Northside's right. We needed, and probably another centre half, because Rob Holding is a sort of player. If you went up to Rob Holding and said, "Look, build me a wall," he'll build you a wall. But that's all he takes instructions. But is he a top class defender? No, he's just a good squad player. And this the other situation as well with as we mentioned, Albert. The gap between Albert and Partey is massive. And that's the thing. The gap between a lot of our bench and our starters is too big. And that's why it was imperative that we did get someone like Felix. It's imperative we do get Mudryk. In fact, if Arsenal are going to win the league and winning them, we have to show players who can get you, who may get in the top four, may keep you in the Europa League. Now, the kind of players we have to go for have to be players who, in the same market as Chelsea were looking at, as Liverpool have been looking at, and Man City. That's how Arsenal are going to sustain this league, and that's what Arsenal need to do. The fact is that don't just buy Mudryk. I know exactly, but you have to get some, some cover as well for Partey, because the end of the day, if Partey goes, that's it. Because as much as our Arsenal fans are saying Granit Xhaka this and Granit Xhaka the field, the gap in quality is going to be immense. And now Nenny, good squad player, loyal to the football club, everyone respects him, but he's no Partey, and that is where we can be derailed, and that's why we need to, as I said before, keep shopping that market, keep buying those players. Buy them early and enhance the squad. Forget about this sort of thing like, we want to keep everyone happy. Of course you want to keep everyone happy. But, if you buy a big squad, then two things will happen. You're playing about 60 games because you'll be in the cup competition like Champions League. So that's what Arsenal need to do. Aim high now. These top four players, forget it now. If they don't, then they're not winning the league this season, and they'll go back and be a Leicester. We can't go back to being a Leicester.
No, I think a lot of good points there, Kenny. And honestly, Dave.
Kenny Kinghod wants to know. He says, you're boxing. Can Usyk beat Fury?
Yes, he can, because the simple reason is that Usyk has got the sort of speed and, like I said, in terms of speed of hand, the foot, and the footwork, and he's got the defence. One thing Usyk needs to do is he needs to take the fight to Fury. Everyone just assumes Fury is going to sit on him and bully him. Well, Joshua's a massive lag. He tried to bully Usyk. And what did Usyk do? He had correct defence. He used his speed of hands, of foot, and head movement, but he engaged with Joshua, and he ripped the belt from Andy Joshua. That's what he needs to do against Tyson Fury, is rip the belt from Tyson Fury. Try and get that boundary between Tyson Fury's weight. Tyson Fury is a very good boxer. He's my favourite to win that fight. I'm a big Tyson Fury fan, but there is a way to beat him. But you have to fight for 12 rounds. You have to get your weight right. Don't be too big and try to be as big as him, because you're going to lose your speed and your endurance. Go at a weight where you have going to have some sort of, like.
Oh, we're losing you
Double
there,
analysis,
Kenny.
though.
Right.
We're losing you there, Kenny Ken. I think you might want to try and log out and log back in. The reception's gone poor.
2-for-1 analysis, though, Dave. Pretty impressive on the boxing as well.
Kenny Ken, I don't know if you can hear us, my man, but your signal's gone, so we might have to get you to log out and log back in. We'll just take this super chat quickly from Paul Mark. He says, can't listen to this AFTV offshoot verbal crap. I'm off. Look, at the end of the day, my man,
it's a special day, Dave. You know, it's only so often it happens. It's kind of like it's not a Christmas, but it's like a, you know, it's a certain type of holiday where it's only so often the enemy comes onto the channel, and we welcome them in, you know, kindly.
What is going on with Kenny?
Can I correct this guy, please?
Yeah, Kenny, we might need to get you to log out and log back in because your signal is a bit.
Kenny's a robot, man. He's malfunctioning.
I'll message him there quickly. But look, Paul, I will let Kenny respond to Paul Markey when he comes back in. But look, for me, Paul Markey, I think these are two very reasonable Arsenal fans, if I'm being brutally honest. And at the end of the day, they're only being honest how they see it. We ask them the questions, they answer them, you know. And I don't think they haven't said anything that's not true, to be honest with you. Oh, Kenny Ken, is he back in? He is. Go on, Kenny Ken.
Can I have my say to Paul Markey? Yeah. Right, I take great exception to what you said. Because let me tell you something now. Me and NorthSide have no interest of working with AFTV. I can't speak for NorthSide, I speak myself. I will never, ever work with AFTV ever again. I see my time with AFTV as a complete and utter waste of time. If I could take back every interview I did on that channel, I would take it back. But I'll tell you one thing, I have no affiliation to AFTV. We are not AFTV. I am not an AFTV offshoot, and neither is NorthSide. Me, NorthSide, say as it is. We recognise other clubs, we respect other clubs, and we think we know a bit about football to actually look at the pros and cons, and we're very critical of Arsenal as well. And we have no problem stating categorically that Arsenal were inferior to Tottenham during those times. We're not fanboys of the club. We'll say as it is. We're not doing this little cheery here and there, or getting down on one knee and proposing to their girlfriends whilst they're meant to analyse the match. That's not me. You call the wrong guy, mate. Stay on the channel and stay where you are and enjoy the show. Don't associate with Arsenal fan team. It's North London derby. That's why we've been invited on there. Don't go
very fair and balanced.
Let's get back to it. We're not part of it.
Fair and balanced.
We have no intention of being like that channel.
Spot on. And at the end of the day, it is the North London Derby weekend, my man. I just ask everybody just to respect the two guys below us because they were kind enough to come on. It's not easy going on to rival channels. Believe me, it's not easy. So let's try and be fair to the two boys. I don't think they've said anything out of turn. I think they've been quite fair, if I'm being brutally honest. Paul Markey, big yourself up though, my man. And then we've got Moondog says the fans need to be vocal too. One to us. Yeah, just Moondog, I've called for this. We need to create a hostile atmosphere like we did last season. Get down there nice and early, get the flares out, give the Arsenal bus a horrible reception, greet our bus with flares and songs as it comes through, and be in the stadium early so when that Arsenal team has to walk through to get to the changing rooms, make sure they feel it. I watched the All or Nothing documentary last season. They were beat before ball was even kicked, my man. So we definitely need the fans to play their part tomorrow, Moondog.
2-1 is my prediction, Moondog. It's not gonna be a resounding win. I think in my case, I think I could see it being a 2-1. Definitely a common score prediction there. The big question I kind of have on my mind here, NorthSide, and I do, and actually maybe we got to get on this. Recent news: Mudryk, apparently your deal has been hijacked by a certain Yank, by Todd Bowley over at Chelsea. He was able to hijack the Mudryk deal. NorthSide, disappointed that you missed out on the Eastern European talent?
No, if he goes, who cares? I'm not bothered. I don't really care.
Is that not a player, though, that would help maybe, like you said, like Kenny was saying, to back up the squad, if you lose somebody like Martinelli, who's there to really fit in, it's a brilliant squad that you have. But if one player gets lost due to injury, it'd be nice to have someone good to step in. Would Mudryk have been that one?
I'll put the question back to you. What would you rather? Blow all your transfer budget in one player that only resolves one position, that only plays in one position, or use that and take advantage that you can get Zaha for 20, 30 mil. You can also go out there and get Trossard. You can also go out there and get Maddison. You can also go out there and get Tielemans. You can get Paulinho. the CDM for Fulham that they only bought for 20 million. So I'll put it back to you.
It is about being smart with your money. That is fair.
And fulfill all these positions instead of going and getting a Mudryk, because that's going to be most of our budget. Let's keep it real. If we get Mudryk, if that deal gets done, we're probably only going to get one other player. Okay, that doesn't resolve the fact that we need a striker, that we need another winger that can play on the opposite side, that we need another number 10 because Fabio Vieira ain't good enough, that we need rotation for Xhaka because Lokonga isn't good enough, he gets injured, that we need another CDM because El Nene last season showed he ain't good enough 10 games to go to get top 4, wasn't even able to do it for 10 games. And Partey's had a very bad injury record since being at Arsenal. That we need another right back if Ben White gets injured because Cedric ain't good enough. We're trying to flog into Fulham. And Tomiyasu's been skinned all season. And like you guys said earlier on, really and truly, maybe I'm being too much, but it's the fact. If Saliba and Gabriel get injured, I don't like any of our centre-backs. I don't like Ben White as a centre-back. Last season, he was atrocious. He's better as a right winger. And Rob Holding's been trash ever since he's been in the Arsenal shirt. And Arsene Wenger said, I'm sorry, he didn't cost 50 million. Well, he didn't cost 50 million because the guy is lethal. The guy is dead. He's rubbish. He's just as good as Dyer. He's rubbish. Players that should have been moved on a long time ago from their clubs. They ain't good enough. Yeah, and players and fans that want to be, the get along gang and, I'm super Tottenham or I'm super Arsenal. Oh, yeah, Rob Holding, he can do a job. Dyer can do a job. I don't give a shit about doing a job. When you're part of the top 6, it's not about doing a job. Are you good at your job? It's not, can you do a job? Are you good? No? Cool. Bye. Goodbye. Simple. The only position at Arsenal that we have adequate cover is at left back. You've got Zinchenko and you've got Tierney. Other than that, I wouldn't say we've got adequate rotation. Marquinhos isn't on the same level as Martinelli. Nketiah is not on the same level as Gabriel, etc., etc. So for me, I'm not going to be twerking for a Mudryk, a guy that ain't that great. We've already seen.
I would twerk for Gvardiol, to be fair. We need a center back so bad. I would throw 100 million, to get Gvardiol because that's what we're desperate for. But I see your point that there's so many areas that you need to fix in terms of that backup of that squad that it's wasting it on the wrong player. I even said that to Dave that I thought it was wasting it on the wrong player. To be fair,
what the English fans say about the French league? Oh, it's a farmers' league. Okay, cool. The Portuguese league is probably the 6th best. That's the 5th best league. The Portuguese is 6th best. We've got 2 players from the Portuguese league, Fabio Vieira and Nuno Tavares, and both of them have been arse. They've been arse. They've been good enough. Yeah. So how good is this guy from the Ukrainian league? What's that? Number 15 in the world? Number 20 in the world? But how good is this guy gonna actually be? We don't know. So why are we paying 18 mil? We did it with Pepe. Now Pepe's out on loan to Nice. How much are we going to get back for him? We are running self-sustaining. So when you pay 80, 90, 100 mil, you've got to be sure or more than likely sure that this guy's going to bang. And we've seen bigger flops in the Premier League.
I could see how this would be money wasted.
The Premier League of flop. And that guy had more credibility in the bank than Mudryk. Bro, I didn't start watching football 5-6 years ago, bro. You know what I'm saying? We've seen bigger flops in the Premier League. Why are we putting all our eggs in one basket for Mudryk and getting our pants down over a guy that hasn't even done it for a season yet at his own club?
I can agree with that.
I don't care if we don't get Mudryk. For me, it's better. Let's go out there and get 5 other positions that we need that make the actual squad and the bench stronger than just one guy.
Do you agree with that, Kenny? Is that actually maybe you saved yourselves from wasting all the money on one player?
Well, no. I think the club would be disappointed because, I think the club have, like I said, gone all out on this guy for quite a while, and they've, and part of their last kind of scout missions was these performances in the Champions League because I think they are looking for a lot more pace down the flanks, and they are looking for. I think the managers identify the way he wants to play, and if he's going to sort of like get some sort of inversion from Shevchenko, like where he plays the inverted where he gets in the midfield, he's probably looking at Martinelli. Says he can't give me what I need coming back. So maybe he thinks this guy's coming back because I think that's the thing where, as much as we're saying why spend that money on the player. Especially that length of money when he hasn't really done it much. The fact is the club are stuck in the guy, and I think it's not so much from a kind of his reputation or what he's done before. I think it's how they want to play. Because I'm not convinced. Maybe I'm wrong. Because Martinelli has had a really good season, but I just don't know if our manager is fully stuck in him, because as I said earlier in the show, we have 3 players who will play every game if Arteta want it. One player has to play all the time, so that's Saka. Now, if you're getting Mudryk in for all that money and you really feel you need him, then clearly the club have a way. The club are looking at Martinelli and say, look, I think I can get an upgrade in him. Now, I don't think he's an upgrade on Martinelli, but I think it's from a playing point of view. And I think what Arsenal need to do is that there's going to be more money to spend than like the 80 million, because simple reasons. Let's not forget NorthSide. We discussed it last year. You can't clear out the amount of players you did last season and not have more than less than 80 million pounds. You've got to have a bit more than that, which means if you're paying your 80 million pounds, I'll do it if you must, but you need to have more money as well for other players, because the money's there. Don't get it twisted now. Arsenal have never breached FFP. Not once, not twice, never. They've always, stayed within FFP. Yes, they pay higher salaries. But what they've done is they got rid of higher earners. Ozil's been told to, go jump in the River Thames. Aubameyang's been told to go. We haven't even heard about Mustafi. In fact, we've forgotten what he looks like. So there's a lot of players we've got off our books, and there's been more players we get off our books. So I think the club will be looking to get this guy in, because if you're doing what I think they're doing, and you've been tracking this guy, and the manager's been in it, because I'll tell you one thing right now, let's not get it twisted, right? Arteta is part of the transfer committee. He's not the head coach like Unai Emery. He's the team manager, which means he is part of the think tank when it comes to transfers. So he's in on this. So I know for a fact, factually that when you're a team manager, you have complete control over every football decision, over the expenditure and what we're going to play as well. So if we get this guy, then Arteta will be an absolute pork chop if he's only going to get this guy, because he himself said it, and I'm holding him to it, that we need to be in the market for big players. We need to be going for this league. Edu said it as well. So go and prove it. Walk the walk. Don't talk the talk, walk the walk. And if you think we're going to let you get away with just spending money on one player, think again, because we need 2 more.
What I will say is at least you're in the market, boys. We're seeing
it's nice to see the money, being flexed, to a degree. Dave, I kind of feel like this is an appropriate question to ask actually a fellow Spurs fan, because I don't really know. I think they would give me a biased answer here. Let's be honest. Is this maybe the best Arsenal side? You just look at that core 11, that starting 11. Is that the best starting 11 basically you've seen since the Invincibles? And then also with that in mind, Dave, I mean, how do you kind of see them faring up against our defense, which is where we're probably least confidence? I mean, let's be honest.
No, look, I don't think it is the best Arsenal side since the Invincibles, if I'm being brutally honest. I think they've just capitalised well on the amount of games that we had to play, and most like the likes of City, Chelsea, Liverpool had to play in such a close period of time with the Champions League games, this, that, and the other. So with the Champions League games, obviously you have to go out with your full 11. With the Europa League games, or the like these guys are in Thursday nights, they can more or less mix their squad, so they can keep their players fresh for the weekend. I think they've benefited from that, plus a lack of injuries. It's definitely not the best Arsenal side I've seen since the Invincibles, if you want me to be honest, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a bit... Yeah, go on.
Sorry, plus they have goals coming from all angles. You've got Martinelli scoring, Saka scoring goals, and Nketiah has scored a few over the last while. Gabriel Jesus has done well since he was brought in. Whereas if you look at us, when Son's been on a decline and Kulu has been injured, like I said, he's only started 8 games this season, so everything is coming through Harry Kane. So with Harry Kane, it's very easy to push up right behind him before the ball comes to him, to put him under that pressure so he doesn't get time to turn and kill people. Bar Perisic, we haven't really had any sort of assist or creative play coming from anywhere, whereas Arsenal have Odegaard in the middle, creating, pulling the strings, this, that, and the other. But look, like I said, a couple of injuries, Jack, and I think we'll be talking about a complete different Arsenal, if I'm being brutally honest. My hope is that Arsenal take a couple of hits to injuries now between over the next couple of months, and Spurs can get all of our players back, and I think you will see the difference. But look, it all depends what Arsenal do in this market. I'll be honest, I actually think Mudryk is a good player. I think he's going to be a very, very good player as well. It is being hijacked by Chelsea, which is absolutely brilliant. But, Jack, it's tough, Jack. It's tough. It's definitely not the best team since the Invincibles, no doubt about it. I just think they've been lucky so far, if I'm being brutally honest. But they're playing well. They've been able to field a consistent 11 more or less every single week, and you can see that on the pitch. It shows. Everyone knows each other's movements. As soon as Odegaard gets the ball, you're seeing players make runs off him. You don't see that at Tottenham Hotspur as soon as like a Bentancur or Højbjerg touches the ball. All of our forward players are in static positions because they don't truly believe that the ball's going to come into them, and especially Harry Kane, he ain't making runs in behind. But also, Sonny being out is huge because last year we used to put the ball into Kane, he used to get turned, and Sonny just used to run in behind. This year we're asking Sonny to get involved in the build-up play, and it's teams are just taking the ball off from left, right, and centre and nullifying Son's threat. I think that's been the biggest difference this season, Jack. It's just injuries and a bit of consistency.
Yeah, I think injuries have been a huge plague for us.
I would argue, I think we've got a better squad than Arsenal, if I'm being honest.
It feels like maybe the core 11 is sort of more solid maybe than in their case, because like you said, with our back line, it's just something we don't really have confidence in at this moment in time. What I would actually want to ask, though, is maybe to get an inside scoop on maybe how we can actually beat Arsenal tomorrow. NorthSide, I mean, how have teams found success against you guys? How have teams caused you problems? Is it sitting in, kind of playing a bit deeper, a bit more kind of pragmatic defensive, or is it kind of going after you full force, going after you kind of toe-to-toe? With a bit of kind of high press and expansive kind of football? How have teams found success against you guys or caused you problems?
It's simple. To beat Arsenal, just sit back, 2 banks of 4, stress us out for about 40 minutes, get in our face like Newcastle did. We've had 2 fixtures where that's happened, where we drop points, where teams have just stifled us. Man United, we lost that game, and Newcastle, we dropped 2 points. We got the draw. And they got in our face really early. And we got rattled, and then we started playing their game. Newcastle in that first half, they just started becoming aggressive and started slamming us down. 2 banks of 4, playing a bit dirty, pulling shirts, and it just rattled us. And when they sat deep, we had no other way to break them down apart from tiki-taka. And that has been something that I've been saying on my channel now for a couple of weeks now. When our plan A doesn't work, we don't have a plan B by this manager. And I understand that when you look at the bench, there isn't much to work with to have a plan B. And that is why people like me, people like Kenny, we said when we got Jesus, it's good to bring in a Mitrovic. It's good to bring in somebody else that's a clinical striker, because Jesus brings you a lot, but he's not the most clinical striker. Someone that brings something different, a different dynamic. So when you can't play the tiki-taka, maybe you have a target man and you can spam crosses. Arsenal don't have that. We don't have that. Everyone plays the same. Everyone plays the same tiki-taka. And if you put 2 banks of 4, you don't give Martinelli the space. You don't give Nketiah the space to run at. You don't give Saka the space to run in at. We can't break you down. And that was a frustrating thing against Newcastle. And then when you look at the bench, we don't have anyone that can come on and give us something different. So it's 2 things. The manager doesn't have a second way of breaking the team down. And we don't have the players on the bench to even suit the style of play. So for me, and I think that actually works into you guys' hands, because Conte is very
we're quite good at that,
hitting people on the counter. And this is why I'm a little bit worried, because our Achilles heel is actually your manager's strengths, hitting us on the counter. Kind of like what Man United did today against Man City. Hit them on the counter, and they had no other way of breaking them down apart from tiki-taka. Man United sat deep, and they didn't have any other answer to breaking them down, and that is how you guys can beat us. Stifle us, hit us on the counter, 1-0, sit back, don't start playing explosive, and then just hit us on the counter. When we start pushing too many men forward, hit us on the counter, we'll be stifled. And then just start playing dirty, the black arts, and we'll get rattled. So
I would probably counter that a little. I think for me, if you're looking at it from a Spurs point of view, if I was Arsenal and Arteta, and he instructed them in the last episode of the All or Nothing, press Tottenham's backline to play themselves into trouble. Arsenal start fast anyway, and that's exactly what they're going to do. If Tottenham can stifle them and get into half-time, I actually level. I fancy us to go on and win the game, because we've only scored 1 goal in the first half in our last 13 games. slow starts is a real problem at Tottenham Hotspur. And I actually think that comes down to, I think, tactics, to be honest with you, in a little way, Jack. I think what we look to do is invite the opposition onto us early, try and counter them and get that early goal and put us in the driving seat in the game. But for this season, it hasn't worked out because, you know, wing back is a very important role in Antonio Conte's team. We're chopping and changing between Emerson and Doherty. Neither of them want that position, so there's nothing coming down that right-hand side. Kulu's been injured, so again, you know, we've had to put Gill in there, who potentially could play tomorrow if Kulu's not fit to start. It's a huge ask for him to come in when he's still learning his trade. But for me, I think if we can get this North London derby into half-time, Jack, at level, I think then Tottenham will go on to win the game, because we do have really strong second halves. I think 27 of our 30-odd goals this season have all come in the second half of games. So for me, I think as a Spurs point of view, that's what I'll be looking to do. Stifle them the first half, nullify Arsenal's fast start, sit back, sit in, keep it tight, don't give them anything, and then hopefully go and get them in the second half, because that's when Tottenham really do come out and start playing. That's when Tottenham come out and play their best. But like I said, if I was Arsenal, I would just send them after Davies. I would send them after Hugo Lloris every time the ball's passed back to him. I'd send them after Dyer every time the ball's at his feet. You know, that's all Arsenal have to do is that, because we know as Tottenham fans, one of them is likely just to give the ball to Arsenal and they'll put it away and they'll be 1-0 ahead. I mean, we've already seen Eric Dyer head a ball into Mo Salah's path. You know what I mean? It's absolutely shocking what's going on in that back line. But for a Spurs point of view, it's important we get this in at 0-0. If we get this in at 0-0 at halftime, we'll go on and win that game.
Give us the secrets, Kenny. How do you beat Arsenal? How do you cause them problems?
Well, what Newcastle did really well is not the fact they're organised defensively. They basically won every second ball as well. But the most important thing is they cut off their wings, just cut off the wings, and to the extent that they knew that that, you know, we were running heavily on Saka and Martinelli. So they marked Martinelli out again. They put two players in him, and he was unable to cope. Saka kind of wriggled out and tried to make own runs. But when Saka tried to get past the first press, the defence was there to, like I said, get in his face and then taken away from dangerous areas. But that's the best way to play. And also it's on the break as well. You know, one of the things of Arsenal is that if we don't score early against certain teams that are being organised, the Spurs are going to be organised. That's where it's going to be a bit of a danger. That's where Spurs will get a bit of confidence. That's where we need two things. If Harry Kane is going to go and drop in a deep line role to kind of create spaces for someone to run into, or maybe Kulusevski or any of the other, or at their times when Bentancur make those runs as well. One of the things our defenders need not to do is to fall in temptation or follow Kane. Kane wants that. He wants to go deep. He wants one of our defenders to fall into that trap, because what will happen is that you'll overrun us and then you will have clear chances, and that's one way you can beat us. One of the things as well is that, and I say this, and it's disrespectfully, but it's factually, Spurs are going to fight for every decision from the referee. They're going to get themselves even things up in terms of, like, if a Spurs player gets booked, they're going to want to make sure that if an Arsenal player commits a similar offence, they're going to do the same thing. Basically, Spurs are looking for an idiot. Remember, Spurs lost a player at the Emirates. Emerson. And let's face it, last season we had a couple of idiots. Two idiots cost us a game. Ultimately, although Spurs were the better side anyway. But you had two idiots. One game where a penalty, when it was blatantly obvious that that it was going to be a penalty, you might as well allow Song to head the ball, because the minute you made contact with Song, it's going to be a penalty. And then you had another idiot who committed a similar foul to another, to Song as well. So what we're looking for is that, don't be an idiot. Don't fall for any of these scams, because the end of this up now. Spurs are going to fight resistance. They are going to play. They are going to try and stifle us. But we shouldn't get into any little tricks. They're going to target Xhaka. They're going to target Saka, and they're going to target Odegaard as well. Because remember, Odegaard got booked against Newcastle as well. So Don't fall into their hands. You know, they are going to fight for every position. There's 62,000 fans there. Don't give the game to Tottenham. Don't do what we did last season, give the game to them. Don't do what we did when Spurs beat us 2-0, when foolishly Harry Kane went into the deep lying role and Gabriel idiotically followed him there, and then you must have made inroads and score that world-class goal.
Can we beat you bad enough? Can we beat you bad enough, Kenny, that maybe
you can because
we're the catalyst for the drop-off again? Because that's what Spurs fans are hoping for. We're hoping for you to slip up. Now.
Let's not forget.
Can it happen again?
But since 2010, we've only won once at your Grand. The last time we've won, apart from the Riziki volley, was when we beat you 3-1. Home form seems to be the part of the course for both Arsenal and Tottenham. If Spurs come to the Emirates, we normally win. If we go to Tottenham Hospital, we normally win. So home form seems to be the barometer for a team good success. But one thing we've done when we got at Tottenham is that we've made mistakes defensively, and we've just played into the referee's hands, but it made an easier game for Spurs. That's what we can't do. Don't be an idiot, because trust me now. Last week, the thing Tottenham were looking for is for one of our players to put their hand up and say, "Oh, it's my turn for the Dunce's cap," because they've done it twice when we've gone there. Let's not get it twisted. Go and watch the videos of last season. Go and watch the video of the season before when they beat us 2-0. You look at the idiotic defending, and you look at the idiotic defending last season and the way we gave her a penalty. Please, Arsenal. Don't. There's no room for any Dunces. Don't be an idiot, because trust me, you'll cost us big tomorrow. Spurs looking for an idiot.
I think you're absolutely spot on. If you look at the last two North London derbies, the one at the back end of last season, the one at the Toilet Bowl this season, it's been decided by a red card. That's been the difference between the North London derbies. The person I'd actually be looking to target is Lego head Arteta, to be honest with you. For me, I look at him, I think in the big moments, I think the pressure gets from him. I remember watching you against Liverpool. You're in control of the game. The crowd is quiet. Klopp is quiet. Liverpool aren't at it. All of a sudden, he starts charging towards Klopp, gets him fired up, and it changed the course of the game. I believe he done something. He done something against Man City as well. So for me, I think Antonio Conte has already started it. By the way, in his press conference, he asked basically the players not to influence the referee, this, that, and the other, and that's obviously a dig at Arsenal, who, over the last two games, Newcastle and Oxford, there's been disciplinary problems there. So if I think Antonio Conte has already tried to get Arteta through the press conference and use some experience to also try and maybe get the referees to take note, a bit what like Sir Alex Ferguson used to do when it came to Arsene Wenger, and I think that's what Antonio Conte is trying to do. I think he's already trying to influence the referee by not getting sucked into, giving Arsenal any easy decisions. As soon as they start, getting around them, crowding them and mounting at them, I think, Antonio Conte is putting the seed of doubt in the referee's head. So hopefully a yellow card does come out nice and quick. But on the sideline is where Antonio Conte would play his part. Just get straight in at his face, give a few fist pumps around the place, just animate yourself, send Lego head into a spiral. And once he goes into a spiral, the rest of the Arsenal team will follow. That's exactly what happened at our stadium last season as well. He got under Arteta's skin, and after that, the collapse of Arsenal happened. So for me, I'm looking at Antonio Conte to lead the way, get under Lego head's skin, and the rest will take care of itself, in my opinion.
No, I mean, you could see him throwing his Legos out of his pram tomorrow, Dave, if things don't go well.
At least it's Arteta's hair.
Honestly, I wonder if it's fake, to be honest with you. It does look fake. But, like you said, Jacques is there to be got at as well. That guy has a temperament. If I was Conte, I'd be instructing him.
Gabriel, I think, too, gets away with a lot sometimes. He's got, if anything, I think he's probably the one that's guilty of maybe being a bit too aggressive with the referees, it feels like, in certain stages. Because I see that guy, just screaming in, the referees, faces in certain stages. So, 100%. I don't know. There are plenty of people that you could catch out, Dave, absolutely.
I think if
it feels like there is going to be a red card. There inevitably will be, because there's been one each and every time.
I think if you're looking at it from a Tottenham point of view, I think Eric Dyer probably Romero is your best bet. Get the ball down his flank nice and early, because this guy likes a Hulk smash in the first few minutes. As soon as a player comes near him, he absolutely clatters them. And what it's done in the past, or especially last season, I watched it. He done it to Mikel Antonio. He done it to St. Maximin in Newcastle last season. Once he hits them first, they don't want to know for the rest of the game. They don't want to go near him. They don't want to take them tackles off him. So if I was Arsenal, I'd actually look to get the ball down that side, and hopefully he comes in with a rash challenge, picks up an early yellow. You nullify Romero, who's our best defender. And then, to be honest with you, you're going to pull our pants down and have your way with us if that's the case. But look, I would be instructing Højbjerg, being Granit Xhaka's ear all game long. And I know this isn't nice to say, but it goes on in football. Just ask him how his wife is, how his sister is, really get under his skin, wind him up, because he is liable to lash out, Xhaka is.
No, he's very capable of being rattled. But let's get to the good part. Let's just ask it straight out. Northside, who's taking the bragging rights tomorrow? How do you see this one going? Score predictions.
I'm going 2-1 Arsenal. Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. I'm going to bank on, the fact that we're playing good football. The mentality's changed, and hopefully we overcome this test. So, yeah, 2-1 Arsenal.
Okay, who's taking the bragging rights, Kenny? Oh, you're on mute, my friend.
Oh, you're on mute, Kenny.
I'm going to go for a draw because I think Spurs are going to be fired up. The fact is that they're still got an outsized chance for the top four, because I know a lot of people are talking about capitalising on the demise of Chelsea and capitalising on the demise of Liverpool. Let's not forget that there's two teams ahead of you in fantastic form, Man United and Newcastle. Both teams that economically spend more than you and are going to spend more in the future. So you've got a bit of a fight there. So in that respect, you can't afford to lose this game, because remember, you've got Man City. You've got Man City on Thursday. So
that's really been true points, Kenny. I don't know
if you know. Somehow you cracked the Da Vinci code that we had, because we don't know how to correct actually the Da Vinci code. How you do it, only you lot know. Because give us the formula. Oh no, you won't, because it's Arsenal.
Definitely not.
We know the secret to that Death Star. Yeah, exactly right. But I mean, it's we need the win, Dave. We need the win. So what's your prediction? I mean, how are we taking the bragging rights tomorrow?
Yeah, first of all, Kenny Ken, reasonable score. He's been around the block. He knows form goes out the window, and the home team usually win this. We haven't been beaten at our place by Arsenal since 2014. I do want to know what Northside is on, though. 2-1 away from home against Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, I need some of that good shit, to be honest with you.
It's the Peroni, Dave. He was showing it right in front of us.
But look, for me, Jack, I know there's been a lot of toxicity around the Spurs fan base. Maybe toxicity is the wrong word to use, but a lot of varying opinions going around, And look, times have been tough this season. It's been a complete drop-off from last season. The performances, even when we were winning, just were not there. It looks laboured. Everyone looks tired. You don't know whether the players are playing for the manager or not at this moment in time. But it's a North London derby. You've got Harry Kane chasing Jimmy Greaves' record. He's one away from equaling Jimmy Greaves' record of 266 goals. Harry Kane has the most goals in North London derby. And for me, I think he's got, nine home goals this season or something like that already. I genuinely think Harry Kane is going to be up for this. I think this is the game where he's going to want to break Jimmy Greaves' record. And on that basis, I actually think Tottenham are going to win this tomorrow. Spurs fans may call me deluded, this, that, and the other, but I genuinely believe we could win this tomorrow. Now, over the last week, I've been a bit nervous, but the more I've sat here, the more I've read into it, and the more I think about it, I do believe Tottenham will show up tomorrow. I just hope that we don't see anything from, the plonker at the back, Eric Dyer or Hugo Lloris, stupid mistakes. But apart from that, I do think Tottenham will be up for it. I think we'll look to hit them hard. I'm going to go 2-1. We are definitely not keeping a clean sheet. I know we kept one against Crystal Palace, but we've seen this time and time again. Even if our backline isn't under pressure, they'll put themselves under pressure by misplacing passes, this, that, and the other. So we're not keeping a clean sheet. But I do think with Kulu back, what he does, Jack, is he provides creativity that other teams don't really think about. They're too worried about getting up close to Harry Kane, getting two men on and making him battle. But if Kulu is fit and ready to start, he's another outlet. And what
Such a
he
game
does is he
changer.
picks up the ball, he can hold it up, he can get turn play people in behind. But another thing he's great at is he can travel with the ball, Jack. We've seen this guy pick up the ball at halfway line and run straight down to the opposition's box. And his famous move is going beating them down by the byline. But also he can cut in on his left, and he can put in some delicious crosses, and he can score a goal. I have a funny feeling Son might step up. I know he's been way off form this season. I know he's been absolutely atrocious. But Son does like a goal against Arsenal as well. And we've seen it with Son. He can score from both feet.
You could see him having an extra burst of pace.
Score inside the box, outside the box. I really do think Tottenham will be up for this. I know the fans will be up for it. Antonio Conte will be up for it. It's a home derby. I think it'll go much like it did last season, where Arsenal will come, they'll capitulate, they'll lose the next game to Man United. All of a sudden, that gap is minuscule, you know. And I think I don't see Arsenal win the league, and I think tomorrow is the start of their demise, Jacko.
Let's hope so, Dave. I'm gonna go 2-1 as well. I feel like Harry Kane could get the brace tomorrow, breaks the record, but I see it actually being where VAR for once actually goes our way this season and doesn't go your way, because while you guys have been pretty formidable, I think Arsenal, I think VAR has gotten, has gone your guys' way on so many occasions this time around. It'd be nice to see if maybe Harry Kane, I'm talking maybe 88th minute, right at the depth, 1-1. Maybe you guys think you're getting out of there with that point. We get a nice cheeky little handball, nice and, dirty, something that nobody likes. Harry Kane scores it, and then he breaks the record. Also, Jimmy Greaves probably wouldn't even like that, because then he gets his record broken by a VAR decision of some kind. But that's what I'd like to see happen, as a 2-1 win to the Spurs. And I'm with you, Dave. That defense, I'll probably be praying to the gods tomorrow, hopefully, that they don't have any huge, Mo Salah moments or anything like that, against Liverpool. But we can only hope, Dave, and we can only pray. And like you said, let's all come together as the Spurs fans and bring that cauldron of hate tomorrow and make it difficult for them. Absolutely. And hopefully Lego Head as well throws his Legos at the pram.
Look, these smiles have gone on for way too long. I can't watch Arsenal channels anymore because they're not sitting there moaning. They're all sitting there happy, delighted. It's intolerable. It's insufferable. I can't take it any longer. So tomorrow we need to turn up, wipe them smiles off the face, and let's go hard at it between now and the end of the season. Look, we've got City Thursday. It is going to be a tough game, but usually that's a routine 3 points. We call it 3 point lane anytime they turn up, Jack, or 3 point empty hand anytime we rock up there. So look, like I said, these smiles have got to go. Someone and it's tomorrow that's going to happen. Guys, we're going to let you plug yourselves. Where can people find you? Because a lot of Spurs fans actually think, you have been reasonable, really enjoyed what you have to say. So we'll start with you, Kenny Ken. Where can people find you?
Instagram at KennyKen1972. That's where we have the most fun. And I don't just discuss, I talk about all the clubs. I have the opinion of everything. I love my cricket. Everybody knows I like boxing as well. So that's me. And I'll be there tomorrow. So, be gentle with me.
What time is your escort down from the Seven Sisters?
Oh, I'm not. you
not saying.
I've told you all
quiet.
you need to know about my voyage to that grad. So damn right on this channel I am anyway.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. NorthSide, my man, where can people find you, brother?
Yeah, nice and easy. NorthSide LDN, all one word, on YouTube. Upload almost every day. So and then I've got the Rivals show every week with a Tottenham fan, Deji. So I'm kind of used to this, man. I'm kind of used to this. We're always going at it, depending on the results of Tottenham and results of Arsenal. So if you want to see, I do have a Tottenham fan on my channel every week. So that's where people can find me. Thanks for having me.
And of course, I'm going to be there at 7 p.m. tonight as well to make NorthSide's life a misery for an hour or so. So that should be good fun. But honestly, guys, I want to say a massive thank you to you guys for showing up. I got in contact last minute, so thank you very much for moving things around to be able to come on. I really do appreciate that. Really sensible Arsenal fans. But them smiles are irritating me. That has to be wiped off tomorrow. Tottenham fans, we will be back tomorrow. We have a pre-match build-up coming up. Tim from Spurs Song Sheets will be coming on for the game. For those people who aren't at the game, we won't get to experience the atmosphere. So I thought, why not bring the atmosphere to you? So Tim from Spurs Song Sheets will be on performing a medley of songs on the pre-match build-up. So for you guys at home, we can maybe get some of the atmosphere going as well. But we'll see you all back here tomorrow for the big one. Everyone get to bed early tonight. You know, get the cans in the fridge early tomorrow. And let's beat the filth tomorrow. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. Kenny Ken, Northside, can we get a big come on, you Spurs, before we end off?
Come on,
Conte we trust.
North London is red.
Conte we trust. That's what we heard, Dave.
Listen, man. This is how it's always been.
You cut me off. I bleed blue and white. Sorry, I bleed blue and white, mate. I bleed red and white, mate.
He said blue and white, Dave. That's what we heard there.
Yeah, we heard Kenny King coming out. He's a true Spurs fan. He's just trolling Arsenal fans.
No, not at all, mate. You cut me. No, that's a slip of the tongue. You cut me, and I'm red and white. Look, I've got red that. Hey, the fight, my phone is all Arsenal. Trust me, there's no common you Spurs on this channel. Let me tell you something now about Tottenham.
One more thing as well. Yeah?
My daughter.
Go on, Kenny. What? Listen, when we beat you tomorrow, I'm available the whole day. So if you need me to come on, I'm available. Yeah, don't worry. When we beat you, just send me the link. I'll jump on.
I saved your blushes last season. In fairness, actually, you were willing to come on after last season, but I said I'd save your blushes because I know it feels like. But sorry, Kenny Ken, what were you going to say before we end off, brother?
I've got my daughter's next door. And my older Spurs fan, I'm going to have to say, I'm going to have to disown her.
Keep your enemies close.
You must be joking. You must be joking. My cousins are Tottenham fans, and sorry, that's about their family. But I love them, but not tomorrow. I won't. Sorry. Like I said, red and white. Come on, you Reds.
Can't have any of that. We got to end off on a big come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. And Conte we trust.
London Derby weekend. Everything on the line. Let's fucking go. Come on, you Spurs.
See you tomorrow, everybody.
You are back here tomorrow.